Kia ora. This is a video about how we are becoming homeless. So I live in Aotearoa, New Zealand. We live in a small rural part of New Zealand this time. And there are absolutely zero rental properties available unless I'm wanting to pay between $700 and $800 a week. My whānau is made up of myself, my fiance. I have an older son who is nearly 20, middle son who is 16, and my youngest boy is 13. So in the last 8 years, we have moved 8 times. So to give you a little bit of a background on this, so I'm going to start back to when my ex-husband and I first split up. So I was renting a property. I had to go onto the solo mother's benefit, and they told me that I was paying too much in rent and that I had to find somewhere smaller and cheaper. I believe my current rent at that time was about $350. And we found a house just down the road for $270. So that was our first move. The house that we moved into was cozy. It had a lovely backyard, but it was. I mean, the floorboards were all uneven. When you walked through the house, it felt like you were drunk, even if you hadn't been drinking. And it was quite small, but it did what we needed it to do. It housed us. I then saw on my Facebook that a family member was asking if anybody knew somebody wanting to take a rental as she was going to rent her house out. So, yep, I'll have a look at the house. It was so much nicer than the property that we're in, and so we decided that we're going to move there, and that was going to be our forever home. This unfortunately didn't last. That house was then put on the market. So that was quite stressful, having real estate agents coming in and out of the property constantly, having to keep your house absolutely beautifully clean and tidy all the time. And at that point, with 3 primary school / kindergarten age children, that was quite hard. So anyway, from there we found a house. So that was our next move within the year, and we moved a couple of kilometres away. We had been in there less than a year when we got given notice that that landlord was then going to be moving family into the property. So from that property then we couldn't find anywhere to go, so we were then homeless for the first time. Not really homeless. We went and lived with my mother. She put us up, and she had a tiny 3-bedroom house. We were all either sleeping on the floor, or she let my fiance and I have her bed while she slept in the single room with my son on the floor. I had my other son in the other room, and then the youngest boy was in with us on the floor of our bedroom, plus our little doggy. So it was quite cramped, and as you can imagine, there were arguments and whatnot, because no 30-something-year-old woman wants to go home and live with her parents again. But that was all right. We then found another house, which was a little bit out of town. I think it was about 25-minute drive into work, 25, half an hour drive into work. And that was really lovely, really loved that place. And then the kitchen roof just about collapsed in. So the owners then had to give us notice because they had to do repairs, etc., etc. So we then moved from there to another home, and that was going to be our forever home again. Moved in there, got our vegetable garden up and running. It was really, really lovely. Another rural place, which was nice. So, I could scream and yell at the kids, no one could hear. Then that place was put on the market. So each of these moves, we'd only been in there approximately a year with each of these moves. So that place was put on the market. So then our lovely property manager found us another home, And that was luxurious. So that home we moved into had a spa pool. We got our veggie garden up and running. We made a hangout for the kids in the garage so that they could have their own space. Lockdown happened, so we spent the majority of our time in that home, walking around. It was a lovely, slightly rural place. We had neighbours, but there wasn't a lot of traffic. We were down a cul-de-sac road, and so lockdown happened in that house. Then, because of COVID, the owners of that house had to move back, so we were then given notice again. From there, that was quite a panicky move. I was really worried about not having anywhere to go that time, until once again our lovely property manager came through for us, called me up, meet me such and such a place, I'll show you this place. So that's when we moved into the home that we're in at the moment. So lovely home. I'm not complaining about the house at all. It's an older style house, a lot smaller, but very rural, which I like because I do like my privacy. But then, so that was around Christmas time last year. So we're living here, and I had a notification on my Facebook, and it said something about how we'd moved or something, and I said, oh, hey kids, we've made it past a year. You know, maybe this is our forever home, which we were told it was going to be long-term rental. And then I think it was about 2 or 3 days later, I got a phone call from our property manager, who was really, really upset. And she told me that once again, we have been given notice as the owner of this property wants to put workers in the house, as it's on farm. So he's wanting to house the workers in our home. So since then, I decided that I had a quick look at all the different websites, your Trade Me's, your realestate.co.nz, Facebook Marketplace, all the weird websites that I know and love because I'm so used to looking for properties. I had a quick squiz, nothing there. A couple of one-bedroom units for about $300-400, a few over the hill a little bit, you're looking at about $700-800. So I thought, okay, this is end of November. I'm not going to stress about this. Something will come up when it comes up. So we'll just get through Christmas, and then before Christmas, I had my youngest son's birthday, so we had to get through that. My niece's birthday is also in December, then Christmas, and then we had mine and my partner's birthdays early January. So I thought, okay, something will come up. We're not going to stress just yet. So when it sort of ticked over after Christmas time, I really started digging and having a look for rental properties, and there are none. The rental properties that have come up, I have applied for every single one, regardless of if I could afford it or not, because I thought, well, stuff it. If it's a house, it's a house. We can go without a lot of other things, but as long as we have a roof over our heads. But it is absolutely incredible to think that when I started this chopping and changing and moving all the different houses, we were paying $350. So it's going back about 9 or 10 years ago. I was paying $350, and that was in a beautiful old Victorian home. So there were 4 bedrooms, a small playroom, and 2 lounges in that home. And that was costing me $350 a week. Moving down to $270 for a teeny tiny little place, and it's just increased and increased. $400, $450, $500, $550. The rental prices are just absolutely killing us. We realise that we're never going to be homeowners. About approximately 5 years ago, we looked into buying a home. We had our KiwiSaver money. We were eligible for the first home buyers grant from the government. However, the thing that was stopping us, because there was criteria for the first home grant, home loan grant, and that was that you had to find a home that was $400,000 or less in the area. Now, each each region of New Zealand has got a cap on what is the maximum amount that you can spend on a house. Now, on the news the other day, I heard that the average price in New Zealand is about $1 million. In my area, you're looking at about $850,000 for a decent 2 bedroom little unit to buy in my area. So we've now come to the conclusion that we are not going to be homeowners ever. It's just not going to happen for us, which is a shame because I really wanted a stable place for my children, so that, when they're leaving the nest, as my oldest one is about to do, they always know that they can come home. They've got their room there for them. They know where we are. It's got all the home comforts to come home to. But the reality of it is that we are going to be renting. We're going to be renting right up until we retire, because even though we can take our KiwiSaver out to buy our first home, it would be more beneficial to us to leave it in there so that when we retire, that can actually help us with the pension. We're thinking about maybe buying a mobile home and retiring in that. So we're always going to be renting, and it's always going to be stressful, and there is just nothing out there. So I'm gonna post some videos sort of capturing our journey along the way. So as of the 21st of this month, February 2022, we will be homeless. Nothing has come out. We've done everything we need to do. We've asked people, we've got the word out there that we're looking, we've signed up to all the agencies. I mean, we've got brilliant references. That's not the issue. The issue is the fact that there is absolutely nothing out there. So as of the 21st, we'll be moving with my mother, who has kindly yet again opened her home to us, and we will be in a tent. So myself, my fiance, and two of the three children will be at Mum's house, utilising her lovely backyard and staying in a tent. So that's where we're at the moment. I'm going to keep you updated along this journey that we are going on for the 8th time. Just to highlight, because I know that we're not the only people that are going through this. We're not the only people that are being made homeless. There is emergency accommodation out there, but we can't apply for that until we are actually physically homeless, nowhere to go. So we're going to look at doing that after a couple of weeks at Mum's house, because there's no way that I can't put my kids, through too many changes, too many uncertainties at this point. So I'm going to keep you guys updated. I'll post another video and let you know if there's been any changes, if we found anything, if I found any homes on Trade Me or real estate websites. And let you know if our property manager, who is also on the lookout for us as well, I'll let you know if she finds us anything. Otherwise, I'll be showing you our lovely tent setup in Mum's backyard on the 21st of February. So it's, in saying all that, it is an issue that we have here at the moment in Aotearoa, and it's something that desperately needs to be changed. It makes me angry to see the amount of empty houses that we drive past every day, houses that we know that the owners are just not willing to put tenants in anymore. They've either given up because they've had bad tenants in the past, or they can't afford to get it up to standard for tenants, the likes of having insulation and heating and all that, and making sure it's an actual livable property. But to tell you the truth, at this point now, I would live in a shack if it meant that I had a roof over my head for my children, and I wouldn't care if we had to do the work to get said shack up to scratch. I'd be quite willing to do that. I would be quite willing to live anywhere and do the mahi to get the property up to standard, but legally you can't do that here in New Zealand. So let's see what happens, and I will keep you all updated. Cheers.